So because I want this at 90, I'm just going to go ahead and rename that back to 90 and change that to 90. So the next step we do is go to dry faces. And actually you can see that it's already have some things in there. I'm just going to go ahead and delete them and click on some new sets of dry faces. Next thing we want to cut is this assist geometry. And because I'm in the assist geometry folder, just go ahead and select through that and press add. Just zoom in and see if you can see those green lines. And yes, I can see it here. And we can see that this is not the way we want it. We actually want it vertical along these three and not just this face. So we double click on that and then we go alternate streamlines. We can see that it's happening on the other side like that. But it's also on the wrong side. It's on the underside. We want it on the front side. So we're just gonna go ahead and alternate front side. Okay, that's what we want. Okay, go ahead and run that. Oop, we see that the whole tool has been flipped. So then we go to strategy and check inverse tool axis and run this whole thing again. And okay, that looks better. See the two A's facing up, and that's cutting the way we want it to cut. Now we're going to go to links and leads and give it some engage motions. And here I think I'm going to go by tangent again. And I'm going to retract it also by tangent. And let's give it 100 as a default. And go ahead and run it. You can see that that's cutting nicely there. Okay, so I'm just gonna go and into simulation, and now we're gonna try and manipulate the in-between movements between the two cuts. So let's go slow simulation and play, press play. Okay, now watch carefully here, the way it comes out. Okay, and then it's doing a table turn and maneuver to our surface. And you can see that actually cut from the bottom. So there's a way we can change that as well if you want to cut from the bottom or the top. But it seems to be cutting that surface quite well. It's engaging, it's retracting 100, and then it's going back to the pyramid. Okay, so we saw that it was actually cutting from the bottom there. So we can change that by actually going into strategy and milling type, we turn into conventional and run. And then you can see that it's starting from the top.
Is it an issue if it cuts from the bottom in that instance? Because it's not actually, nothing's going to fall or anything in that regard. Would it matter, or could you just leave it as is?
You can leave it as is. Yeah.
Okay.
That's also fine too. I guess for those who are listening in, I'm just giving you a variety of options that you can change. Okay, so then let's go ahead and look at that in-between movements. I didn't quite like the in-between movement where this is happening, where you have the table turning and that wire being so close to our foam. So we can change that by first moving the robot back and then letting it do a table turn and then approaching towards our surfaces. Or you can actually move them at 2 separate times. So what I mean by that is, first you could have the robot shift back, stay there for the table to turn, and then for the robot to go ahead and engage that surface. Or you can manipulate it in a way that they kind of work together and it moves back as the table is turning and then it moves forward. It depends on the situation, but for now, let's see if we can do it both at the same time, it moving at the same time. Okay, so we have this position here, and that's telling us that the robot TCP, which is here, the tool center point, is going to move to where this arrow is. So I'm going to move the robot back a bit, and to do that, we have this control panel open, and we make sure that we can have this toolbar pop up as well. So we're going to move, maybe I think one of these A3. The A3 is this one, so not that one, A2. Move that back. And I'm going to bring A3 down a bit, closer to our surface. And if you go too far, it's going to hit a limit axis limit. And it will tell you by going red. So you want to just go less than that. So you might have to type some numbers in, 135. Okay, that's still too much. 134, that's the limit. So let's just say 133 for now. Then we want to bring him down a bit. Okay, let's see what happens if we do that. And we're going to insert, make sure it's on physics, go to with a little arrow, and I'm just going to add that position there. So after it's going to cut that surface, it's going to move down, and then the table is going to turn. Let's see if that has any collisions. So that looks like a good distance away, and that looks pretty good. And then it's going to go ahead and engage. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. And then here it's still black because we haven't run through the whole simulation. But if we just run it through. Okay, it's going to be green. Okay, I'm going to do one more operation and I'm going to go to the next person. So then here we have operation 1 and then we have operation 2 here. So let's go ahead, I'm just going to delete these again. Dry face, and let's get the back side this time. Add, close. Let's see where we can find the streamlines. Okay, there it is. Same idea, we're going to alternate streamlines and front side. Yep, that looks good. Then go ahead and run it. And we see that it's flipped. So we go to inverse tool axis. Run. Oops. Then we're going to give it the same links and leads by normal, sorry, by tangent. 100 by tangent 100. Yep, looks good. I also want to tell you about what this extend means. This means it kind of acts similar to the engage, but this allows you to extend your surfaces by a certain amount. So let's just say I want to extend it by 100. Run. So you can see that it's added 100 more. So this this function here, extend, has extended your assist geometries by 100 without actually making that surface, and then it has that engage of 100. So if you say, actually, I don't really want to go back into my Rhino model and just extend that surface, then you can consider doing this extend function here. So we might have been able to do that for the first surface here. Having this extend by a bit. You might want to take caution sometimes when you're using this, because you may not know exactly how the extend is happening before you actually enter your surface. So I would say use these for really simple assist geometries, like those which are rectangular and those which are straight and flat. But this is not something you need to use as well. If you want to be just super sure, then I would suggest you to make that assist geometry in your Rhino model and just give it an engage and retract, and then set those as a dry face. Okay, go back to here, and then have that going on and press run. Okay, let's go ahead to simulation and let's see how that's working. So after that move, wow, it's going to go straight into our block. Okay. So unless you want two halves, let's change that. And this time I'm going to make a manual move where the robot goes up, goes across, and then comes down to cut that back surface. So that means we're going to have 3 positions. So whenever you want to add a position, just click on the position, the existing position, and whatever you add will go before that. So first of all, let's go, okay, let's move our robot up. So maybe somewhere here. Let's see how far it is from the block. It looks not too bad. And here, make sure it's physic. By default, if you already clicked this, it's going to always be physic, but just double check to make sure. And click add. It's added that position there. Now I want to move him forward. So let's see what we can move. Maybe is it the A2? Yeah. So sometimes to move these axes, you might need to toggle between 2 axes at the same time. For example, we might do an A2 forward and also an A3 up, and a little bit more A2 forward and A3 up to get where we want. Make sure you're not hitting any of the room equipment. So that's pretty good there. I'm just gonna make an add. Maybe you can go further out a little bit. So then I think I might, maybe there is much safer. So you can add that position again. Let's see. You have this dip, and we can actually get rid of that. But that's okay, we'll leave it for now. And then it's going to come down and going to cut our surface. It seems like this downward movement is okay. So let's just have a look and have a go at running it. Ooh, it's a bit too fast. It's going up past that block. And it's doing the forward movement. Make sure to go slow in your simulation so you can really check for any collisions. Turning your robot around. I'm gonna go further out. And it's gonna come down towards our surface. Let's go ahead and engage at that cutting speed. You might say, okay, actually 100 might be too long, so maybe you might change it to 80. But just making sure that you have a good distance so that, you know, you have time to turn the wire on and, you know, so on and so forth. Yep, it's going to cut. And then it's going to finish. It's probably giving me an error there because it's cutting through the actual block when it's retracting, I guess. Yes, because we haven't done the other two, it's giving me a red there. So that should get you started, Jake. Did you have any more questions?
No, that's perfect for now. Thank you.
No worries. I'll save this and then just give it back to you.